Hello and welcome to episode 10 part 1 of The Club. I couldn't bring you a video last week because I was in London, so instead this week you are getting 2 full videos, and in the first of which we'll be looking at the final book in the Hunger Games trilogy, Mockingjay. Oh, and this is the penultimate episode of the series. Just thought I'd tell you that. As with quite a lot of my videos, there are minor spoilers about the book, so you have been warned. So before reading this book, I had heard from a lot of sources saying that this was the worst book from the trilogy. And after reading it, to be honest, it's not really that bad. It's alright, it's not the best one, but then it's not the worst as well. The unfortunate thing that haunts this series, and a lot of books in today's market, 50 Shades of Grey, is that someone gets an idea that could probably fill up about one book and then decides to just split it up over a big trilogy. What then seems to happen is that events seem to just constantly repeat themselves. Like, for example, the second book of the Hunger Games trilogy was pretty much just another rehash of the first book, but with different characters. So certain events in this book just felt like I had read them before and just felt so samey. Now I think I'm glad that I left a gap between reading the second book and the third book, and the main reason for this is because the character of Katniss has slowly started to get on my nerves. Her whole persona does become very tiring very quickly. The only reason that I didn't give up on this book was because there was a hint that this could actually break from the mould of the previous 2 books. Now there was an ending that was hinted at throughout the book that if Suzanne Collins had actually decided to do, would have made the book just absolutely brilliant. But she didn't do this. She decided to go for a happy ending where they win and everyone lives happily ever after. And now the only reason that I didn't like this ending was because Suzanne Collins had hinted throughout the entire book about this other, more darker ending, but then she seemed to change her mind midway through and chose the Hollywood ending. Maybe because the film rights of her book were bought. Now if she had gone with this other ending, then Katniss would have ended up going into a third Hunger Games, with all the people that would have been seen as traitors in the new regime, because Katniss killed the president in order to stop a new dictatorship like the one under President Snow. And I know this is going against my earlier comment by saying that the books are all the same, but by placing Katniss into a third Games with her being seen as a traitor, then it would have given a more dystopian and perhaps a more accurate portrayal of what would have actually happened. Was this story real? What the darker ending states is that when trying to gain peace, when incredible power becomes easily accessible, then someone will choose the power over peace, and then just the entire cycle would start over again. Now another thing that I really didn't like about this book was that every single event seemed to be taking place elsewhere, and then we're stuck with Katniss as she mopes about and does bugger all. Yes, we are supposed to be aligned with Katniss as she is the main character of the series, but when major events that could have filled up several epic chapters occur off page, then we are told about them in a few sentences, makes the book nowhere near as good as it could have been. By keeping Katniss at the sidelines of the action, we are kept at the sidelines of the action as well. A position that the reader doesn't really sign on to when purchasing the book. The whole point of books is escapism, but then when you're following a girl around for 400 pages who just mopes and spends most of her time asleep in closets, you cannot gain this escapism. So that's what I thought. Tell me what you think with a comment or a video response. As always, visit wearethewritingpeople.co.uk, and I will be seeing you in a few hours with episode 10 part 2, where we're looking at The Dark Knight Rises. And I must warn you, I'm going to be a giddy nerd, so prepare yourselves. See you later, guys.